Hi designers, here we are with our second lesson in 3D drawing. So today's lesson is going to cover some stuff we did a couple weeks ago in class, but we were kind of rushed through that class. And so we're going to go back, and actually I think this is going to work out a lot better because you guys will be able to work in your own time and we won't have time constraints. The first thing I want to ask you is if you have done the parallel lines assignment from last week. If you haven't done that, you should go back and watch the video and practice this, and practice it a couple of times. You don't get good at this by just doing it once, okay? You can do at least 2 or 3 sheets of this to get good at it. It's really hard to draw parallel lines. You have to use your eyes and you have to have a lot of patience. So take a look at that one, and if you haven't finished it, please do. And thank you to all the people who did send me pictures of their parallel lines. I really appreciate it. And it's just a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying seeing your work. And in a class, when we have so many people, I don't get to comment on everybody's work because it's all happening at once. But when you send me a picture, I can comment and make individual suggestions. So it's nice to see you guys are working at home and all that. So first thing I want to do is remind you about this guy. Do you remember this thing? It's a little wood block I made in it, and I drew some black lines on it. We're going to be doing some 3D drawing today, and the best way to think about 3D drawing is to try and get a picture of it in your mind. So I just made a little block. It's just a little scrap wood block, and I put some markers, and it kind of makes, like, depending on how you hold it, if you hold it like that, it kind of has the Y shape. And if you hold it like this, I don't know, it kind of looks like a downward arrow shape, how it's pointing down like that. That's the way I'm going to look at it. We don't have the sheets because you guys are at home, and I don't have the sheets prepared for you, but it's very easy to make your own. And so the first part of this lesson is just going to be how to draw the lines to make your drawing. So I'm going to put this down like this so you can see what's going on here. So let's take a look first at that arrow shape. That's the first thing I'm going to draw. And I got a ruler. Please always use a ruler. So I guess the first thing I'm going to draw is the vertical line. And I'm going to just kind of draw lightly. I don't need to draw super dark. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the depth line. We'll talk about that in a second, but here's the depth line. And I'm just going to pick a point down here and go off to the side. And then now I'm going to draw the width line. And that way. All right. So now I've drawn that. Kind of drawn the arrow shape. It doesn't matter if these two go off at the same angle. In fact, it'll probably look a little bit better if they don't, if they're slightly different angle. Okay, so the next thing, so just about the height. So height starts here going up. We're going to call that the height. And I'm going to call this one the width. And this one the depth. Height, width, they're all measurements. So I'm going to put some numbers on here. I'm going to put a little dot every inch. You can do it any way you want. But when I'm drawing the inches, I'm always starting from our axis point down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And same thing over here, starting with the axis. So I want to draw a block, and I want to draw a block that has a height of 3 inches, has a width of 2 inches, and has a depth of 3 inches. So that'll work. Okay, just kind of a small block. So first thing I'm going to do is figure out my height is 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to make a dot right there. I have a width of 2, 1, 2, put a dot right there, and a depth of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now here's where all that parallel line practice comes in, because we need to draw the parallel lines, and you have to remember which parallel lines you're doing. But the first thing I'm going to do is my height lines, and I want my parallel, so I'm going to start over here on the depth, and I'm going to just use my eyes. I mean, I hope you can see that this is not a parallel line now, okay? Remember what the rule about parallel lines is: parallel lines will never touch until they reach infinity, but that's a different lesson. Parallel lines will never touch. These two lines will eventually touch if they keep going. But two parallel lines, if they keep going, will never touch each other. So let's draw the parallel line for the height. I'm just going to eyeball it. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to start here at the bottom and go up. All right, that looks pretty good, pretty parallel. And now I'm going to do the same thing over here for the width, on the width side. Just kind of eyeballing the line here with that one. You see that? Does it look pretty good? Sure. I'm just going to go up. Okay, I got them. Now I'm going to do my width first, and the line I want to be parallel with is this one. It's really far away, so it kind of makes it harder if it's so far away, but I still can tell. That looks pretty good. What do you think? Is that good? Definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. Boop, 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 boop. Perfect, I think. Good enough. Now I don't need to go all the way to the edge. I only need to go over to this line here. Okay? That's pretty parallel. And now I'm going to do the depth side. Go to the dot and go out to the line. Man, I can even see that that's going out a little bit. But it's good enough for right now. Okay, now I need to finish drawing the top of the box. So I put a couple dots here and here just to remind me. Now this is interesting because I don't know where they're going to meet up. They're going to meet up somewhere back here somewhere, but I don't know. So the lines are going to have to cross each other. So now this line that I draw going this direction has to be parallel to this line and this line. So, and then it's actually pretty easy because if I can see my dot over here, and I can just put like the edge of the ruler is really close right there, so it makes it easy to make it a parallel line. And I'm going to start at the dot and I'm going to go back. Not quite sure how far I need to go back, but at least that far. And those lines look very parallel. Now I'm going to draw from this dot, and my line that I draw needs to be parallel to this line and this line. So there's my dot over here. Take my time. It's all about the patience when you're using your eyes. Your eyes won't lie to you. Trust your eyes. Okay, now I'm drawing the top of my box. So one of the nice things about doing this without my drawing paper is that you can erase it and make it look clean. So I see two front sides, and I see the top to the box. So I'm just going to erase the lines I don't need right now. Draw that back line in a little more clearly. For you guys to see. All right, so there's my box. Now, what can I do with this box to make it look even more three-dimensional? Well, so I think you guys should pause the video right here and try and draw one really good box that looks like that. Okay? Welcome back. I hope you have a nice box. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to do some shading. And for shading, what always helps me is to think of where the light is coming from. So I'm going to draw a sun up there in the corner. Now when you have a sun, we know where the light is coming from. The light is coming from this direction. So that means that my shadow, my darkest side, is going to be over here. And my lightest is going to be the top, and then this one is getting a little bit of sun, so it's not going to be too dark. So what I can do now is just take my pencil and kind of shade this in. And what else would give this box a little bit of dimension? Maybe if I'll make this an apartment building, and I'll draw some doors and a window. So now if I'm going to draw a door, sides to the door have to be here, have to be parallel. So I'm going to just try and keep a steady hand and go up and draw a door. And now the top of the door, you might think it's straight and flat across the top, and it needs to be parallel to this line. So there's my door. I'll put a door handle on it, and then I'll draw a little window. Okay? Maybe a couple of windows. Remember, so sides, parallel lines, and then top, parallel line there. There's my windows. That just helps give it a little dimension. Okay, so now this side needs to have just a little bit of shading on it. And what else do you need to make this really to make it pop? Well, if the sun is coming from here, then you need some shadow over here. So I'm just going to draw some shadow like this. Remember, so the shadow is going to be coming in this direction. And then I'm going to take my finger, just kind of rub that around so it just looks kind of hazy. Okay. Now, to make it look really dimensional, I should probably put something behind it, like a tree. So I'm going to put a tree here, behind the building. The tree is a very nice straight tree, so it has parallel lines that go straight up and down. Maybe put some apples in the tree. A little bit of shading. This is the dark side, the shadowy side of the tree. A little bit of shadow for the tree. And then maybe a cat peeking its head out over here. There's the little cat. Now all of a sudden, it really looks like this is popping right off the page. Your assignment, my friends, is to try and draw a three-dimensional shape, okay, and add some shading and make it. Now you don't have to make a house, you can do whatever you want, whatever you think your cube should be, but that's what I'd like to see. Please take a picture with your iPad or with your whatever you've got and send an email to me at that address right there, and also the email address is in your assignment sheet that came from Gray and Christine. So, have a great week. I hope you all are healthy and happy and making the most. Remember, if you have any downtime, be creative. Make something, do something fun, okay? And if you have any questions, please ask me, okay? I'd love to hear from you, and I will reply immediately, okay? See ya.